The Indian automotive industry is extremely volatile. The complex tax structures and the transition to BS6 norms, etc., have forced some of the manufacturers to take some of the historic decisions. In the year 2015, 90% of the Audi cars sold in India were diesel. Couple of years later, somewhere around 2017 to 18, the number reduced to 70%. But what's surprising is, today, every single Audi car sold in India is in a petrol-only avatar. There might be multiple reasons behind it. The infamous Dieselgate, the narrowing price gap between petrol and diesel, and of course the transition to BS6 norms. Will this fifth generation of Audi A6 be the trump card for the German car maker to revive the losing market share, or it is another victim of impulsive decision? Hello and welcome back to Shutterdrives. Hope you guys are staying safe and healthy.
Audi, DKW, Horch, Wanderer. These are the names of the four companies that came together in 1932 to form a union in the form of Auto Union Deutschland Ingolstadt, Audi in short. The Audi A6 follows the mantra of clean and slated design language of the German car maker. There is a large beautiful grille that occupies half the real estate. The LED headlamps offer a great throw at night. The high beams, however, could have done slightly better justice to a car of this price bracket. The LED fog lamps feel very stylish, and you get the front parking sensors too with super cool headlamp washers. Moving to the side of the Audi A6, you instantly realize that it's not a long wheelbase. More so, if you are familiar with the E-Class long wheelbase. The 18-inch alloys look stunning and go well with the design language of the A6. There is a neat touch of chrome around the silhouette. Going back to the rear, and you realize that Audi has put in some serious thought in crafting it close to perfection. The LED tail lamps and the thin chrome strip running across the backyard take the elegance to a new level. The boot space reads 530 liters on paper and is actually deep and wide enough to be a good long distance companion. Thankfully, the spare wheel is tucked inside. I wouldn't shy away from the fact that if I had to pick one brand from the German trio as my retirement home, it would certainly be the Lord of the Rings. Be it the simplistic cabin of the Q3 back then or the uber luxurious A6, which takes the business class experience a notch above. The twin screen setup, which is the architect of the victory in this yacht on wheels, will absolutely not go unnoticed. While the primary 10-inch touchscreen is outsourced with the job to control various functionalities of the car, like the multitude of driving modes ranging from economy, comfort, sport, and individual. The music system controls, navigation, etc. are controlled with the same dominating screen. The lower glass housing does everything to ensure that the mercury levels in the opulent cabin are aligned to the individual passenger's needs. Steering feels great to hold and houses controls for most of your on-the-move requirements. The paddle shifters try very hard to remind you that the A6 too could be a potent driver's choice as much as it is for the driven. To justify the price tag, the A6 plus you with some great customization options like the virtual cockpit. The 16-speaker, 700-watt Bang & Olufsen music system deserves a special mention, and undoubtedly, it's excellent at what it does. The driver selector seems very modernistic, unlike the traditional sticks of the older Audis. The space below the center armrest doubles up as a wireless charging port, but I felt it to be tad inconvenient to access the phone on the move, and the larger problem being there was no space to store some basic essentials, and I had no option but to use the same real estate under the armrest for it. There is a wooden finish trim running across the plush cabin with the rings embedded in it. Small touches like the beautiful craftsmanship of the wooden lid above the cup holders for your espresso reminds you of your return on investment of those 78 big ones. As a resident of tax-heavy Bengaluru, there is an electronic parking brake and auto start-stop button which is used to shut off the engine at traffic signals. As expected in a car of this price bracket, you get up to 2 settings for your memory seats, which increase the convenience. There is a sunroof that does a good job to fulfill a daily dose of vitamin D.
Once you step inside the Audi A6, you feel like it's the spaceship of Interstellar because everything looks like a cockpit. It doesn't look like a dashboard of a car at all. I mean, there are multiple screens here. This is the MMI, this is the climate control screen, and it looks very, very futuristic. And right now, the engine is on, and you do not feel it at all. The 45 TFSI is that refined. Let's check out how does the refinement levels progress as we start moving. So revving the car, it's somewhere around 2500 RPM, but still there is absolutely no sound from the external world apart from minimum tire noise, and this is something that's really commendable. Audi has done a phenomenal job here. I don't want to stereotype, but Audis are known to have lighter steering compared to say BMW or Mercedes. Let's check out how does the steering on this A6 fare. Yeah, just as we expect, the steering is actually feather light, especially when we move from parking speeds to decent two-digit speeds. And one thing that I really want to point out is when we were coming on the highway, right, we did some decent, really good triple digit speeds. And that time the steering was very direct. It was not very heavy as such, it did not weigh up a lot, but it was fairly direct. I mean, that's something that's very confidence inspiring. For example, if you look at the steering of XUV 500, right? I'm not comparing Audi A6 to XUV 500, but the thing is, the steering of XUV 500 weighs up a lot. But the point is, it's not very direct. So, what's the point of the steering weighing up when it's not direct? And it's the other way around for the A6. The steering is precise, it's direct at high speeds, but it does not weigh up.
Audi A6 gets the no frills petrol edition, which is essentially a turbocharged, fuel stratified injection, commonly abbreviated as TFSI. While the engine does the job that you would expect from a 4-pot churning on 245 horses, enthusiasts will crave for two additional cylinders which were available in the earlier avatar of A6. Tap the throttle and the car literally sprints and pushes you back around 2000 rpm. One thing that you instantly notice are the exceptional refinement levels. The engine feels way more powerful than it actually is.
So we have a empty stretch of road ahead of us, and we're just going to check out what the part delivery of the car is. And right now it's in the efficiency mode. Let's switch to dynamic. 3, 2, 1, here we go. The part delivery is absolute bonkers in the initial stages. I mean, it's not linear. It tapers down over a period of time, especially in the mid range. The part delivery is excellent. Trust me, the part delivery numbers in the paper don't do justice to the Audi A6 45 TFSI at all. The car craves to be pushed harder. I'm going to start off with an analogy here. For example, if a team wants to win a cricket match, right, it's important that the batsmen and the bowlers both have to give their equal performance. For example, if the batsmen score 200 runs in a 20-over match and the economy of the bowlers is really poor, then the team is going to lose the match. And in similar cases, for any car to be really good in the driving dynamics, both the engine and the gearbox have to be good. In this Audi A6 45 TFSI, the engine is phenomenal. I already told you that it deserves more power numbers. The initial gear shifts are very smooth. When we were coming here, we found that 2 out of 10 times, especially in the higher gears, there was some decent amount of lag, and that's actually not expected out of one of the finest gearbox.
The right quality on broken roads at early double digit speeds is compliant. But if you plan to get ambitious with the throttle input when the road isn't prepared for it, the A6 will give you a good reason to complain. Don't get me wrong, there is absolutely no way the bumpiness will traverse through the 18 inches of rubbers sourced by Michelin to the plush red seat. The low center of gravity is a good recipe for high speed cornering. You have another reason to drive the car at crawling speeds on speed breaker, or else you might end up scrapping one of those large uninvited speed breakers.
The Audi A6 is going to be one of the strongest contenders for the chauffeur-driven segment, and that's why the backseat comfort of this car is really important. And that's the reason we decided to check it out exhaustively. And first things first, once you step inside the Audi A6, the rear of the A6, you realize that the rear seat is not wide enough for 3 people to sit comfortably. 2 people, 2 adults are good, plus an additional kid more than enough, but anything more than that is being too optimistic because this humongous center tunnel here, the transmission tunnel at the rear, eats up a lot of space, which is going to be a claustrophobic situation for the rear third adult here. Talking about the individual seats comfort, the legroom is really good. It's fantastic for long drives, no problem at all on that. The headroom is fair enough, no problem on that too. The under thigh support is good, but if there was something that I really wished for, it was the reclination of the rear seat. I mean, had Audi done that part, the comfort of the rear seat would be leaps and bounds ahead. And let's imagine the scenario: you have a friend with you who is driving the rear seat of the Audi A6. You feel really hot, your friend feels really cold. In that case, both of you want different temperatures, and that's when the individual climate control of the rear comes to your rescue. You both can set different temperatures for both of you individually so that you drive in breeze.
The Audi A6 wasn't really known as a luxury car that you could take it to a racetrack on a weekend and take it to office the next day. To validate this, we drove it through the umpteen sharp turns of National Highway 75 that led us to the outskirts of the small beautiful town Hassan. The A6 felt calm and composed at triple digit speeds. There were no evident signs of nervousness, no matter what. Having said that, we did feel that two extra cylinders are the missing ingredient that is falling short in the recipe to make it one of the strongest contenders in the pit lane of both international circuit. If you are a quattro fan, You would be left with dismay as the A6 misses out on Audi's breakthrough technology.
It's important for every product to have a USP to sell well in India, unless you are a Maruti Suzuki. The BMW 530D is a ballistic driver's missile. The Mercedes-Benz E-Class long wheelbase is a house on wheels, but the Audi A6 is more like a jack of all trades and master of none. But having said that, if there is something in its favor, it's certainly the competitive price tag for the petrol variant compared to its rivals.
Coming back to where we started off with, the A6 certainly does not really seem to be a victim of impulsive decision of the petrol-only strategy from the German carmaker, and rather feels like the trump card Audi has been long wanting, especially with the A6 bearing the additional responsibility of being the cheapest Audi you could buy in India, minus the recently launched Q2, which we expect to get our hands on sometime soon. If we got a chance to be optimistic, we really wish that Audi A6 gets two additional cylinders or the power of Quattro to make it an even better contender in the luxury shopping space of one of the most dynamic auto markets in the world.
If you guys like the video, do not forget to subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram. Take care, drive safe, and more importantly, stay healthy.